Welcome to episode 2 of module 7, infectious disease. We're continuing on with inquiry question 1, how are diseases transmitted? Our syllabus reference for this episode, we will be looking at the transmission of infectious diseases, including direct, indirect and vector transmission. Look at the transmission of a disease during an epidemic and compare the adaptations of different pathogens that facilitate their entry into and transmission between hosts. Our learning intentions for today, we will outline the modes of transmission of infectious disease, describe the chain of infection, outline the adaptations of bacterial pathogens in their ability to facilitate entry into a host and cause disease, and finally distinguish between endemic, epidemic and pandemic. So let's first look at the modes of transmission. Modes of transmission refer to the ways in which infectious agents such as bacteria or viruses are spread from one person to another or from an animal to a person. Understanding these modes is crucial for preventing the spread of diseases. The main modes of transmission include direct contact. Spread occurs through physical contact between an infected person and a susceptible person. This can involve touching, kissing, or other close personal contact. Infectious diseases such as meningococcal, glandular fever, chickenpox, and STIs are transmitted through direct contact. Indirect contact involves the transfer of infectious agents through a contaminated intermediate object, such as doorknobs, surfaces, or shared personal items. It also includes transmission through air droplets, contaminated food, and water. Diseases such as cholera, salmonella, COVID-19, and athlete's foot are transmitted through indirect contact. A vector involves the transmission of infectious agents through vectors such as mosquitoes or ticks. These vectors can carry and transmit pathogens from one host to another. Diseases such as dengue fever, malaria, Lyme disease, and even the bubonic plague were transmitted via vectors. And lastly, vertical transfer. This refers to the transmission of infectious agents from mother to child during childbirth, pregnancy, or breastfeeding. Diseases such as chlamydia, HIV, and herpes can be passed on to children during natural childbirth if the mother has an active infection. We will now move into looking at the chain of infection. The chain of infection is a model that describes the process by which infectious agents are transmitted and cause disease. It consists of a series of interconnected links, and breaking any link in the chain can help prevent the spread of infectious diseases. The first link in the chain is the infectious agent, which can be a bacterium, virus, fungus, parasite, or other microorganisms capable of causing disease. Examples include the bacteria, E. coli, viruses like influenza, or parasites like Plasmodium that cause malaria. The reservoir is the habitat where the infectious agent lives, grows, and multiplies. It can be a human, animal, environment, or an inanimate object. Reservoirs can include infected individuals, animals, contaminated water, soil, or surfaces. In the third link, the infectious agent needs a way to exit the reservoir to infect a new host. This can occur through various portals of exit, such as the respiratory secretions, coughing or sneezing, blood, saliva, urine, feces, or other bodily fluids. The fourth link is the mode of transmission. As mentioned previously, the mode of transmission is the means by which the infectious agent is transferred from the reservoir to the susceptible host. This can occur through direct or indirect contact, vectors, and vertical transmission. Once the infectious agent has been transmitted, it needs a way to enter the body of a susceptible host. Portals of entry can include the respiratory tract, gastrointestinal tract, mucous membranes, or even breaks through the skin. The last link in the chain is the susceptible host. This is an individual who is at risk of being infected by the infectious agent, such as babies, elderly, immunocompromised, and healthcare workers. Breaking any link in the chain of infection can help prevent the spread of diseases. Public health measures such as vaccinations, hand hygiene, sanitation practices, and infection control protocols are designed to interrupt the chain at various points and reduce the risk of infectious diseases. Pathogens have adaptations that assist them in facilitating entry into the host cell. We will now look specifically at the adaptations of bacteria. Recall from Year 11 biology that an adaptation is a structural, behavioural, or physiological response that an organism develops to enable them to survive when environmental conditions change. Pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites continue to cause disease because they have developed their own adaptations to enhance their survival, transmission, and ability to cause disease. In this video, we will look at some examples of bacterial adaptations. Bacteria, for example, have structural adaptations such as adhesion molecules that exist on their surface. This allows the bacteria to adhere to host tissue and cells. The ability to adhere to host tissue and cells is crucial in facilitating entry into the host, where they can disrupt specific receptors on the surface of cells. E. coli is a bacteria known to cause a form of food poisoning that has this type of adaptation. An antigen is a foreign substance that the body does not recognize that induces an immune response. Some bacteria have the ability to undergo antigenic variation, which means they can change their surface antigen that they present to the host and go undetected. This will enable them to evade the immune recognition. Neisseria gonorrhea, that causes the STI commonly known as gonorrhea, has this type of adaptation. Toxins are substances produced by bacteria that can harm the host cells or tissues, contributing to the development of disease. Toxins can serve various purposes, including disrupting host cell function, evading the immune system, and facilitating bacterial colonization and spread. Bacterial toxins can be classified as either endotoxins or exotoxins. Endotoxins exist in the cell wall of bacteria and released when the bacteria dies and their cell wall breaks down. Exotoxins, on the other hand, are released by the bacteria into the surrounding environment. Vibrio cholerae, that causes cholera, is an example of an endotoxin bacteria. And lastly, in today's episode, we will distinguish between the terms endemic, epidemic, and pandemic. An endemic disease is one that is consistently present and circulating within a specific geographic area or population over an extended period. The level of disease prevalence is typically stable and predictable within the particular region. Common examples of endemic diseases include seasonal flu and malaria in certain regions. An epidemic occurs when the number of cases of a particular disease in a population exceeds what is normally expected for that community or region. It represents a sudden and widespread outbreak of an infectious disease. Epidemics can affect a local community, a specific region, or even multiple countries. The increase in cases is often rapid, and the disease may spread rapidly within a defined population during an epidemic. Examples include the equine flu epidemic in New South Wales in 2007 and the West Africa Ebola epidemic from 2014 to 2016. A pandemic is a global outbreak of a disease that occurs when a new or novel infectious agent, such as a virus, emerges and spreads worldwide. Unlike an epidemic, which is more localized, a pandemic affects a large geographic area, crossing international borders and impacting multiple countries or continents. Pandemics are characterized by widespread human-to-human transmission of the infectious agent and can have significant social, economic, and public health implications. Examples include the Spanish influenza pandemic from 1918 to 1920, the H1N1 pandemic in 2009, or the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is the end of episode 2. Thank you for watching.